Dear participants, I'm welcoming you back for the session 8 to be continued by our Piyush sir. This session will be focusing on EU AI Act. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, hope I'm audible, right?
Yeah, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, great. Yeah. So in the first session, we have discussed about the responsible AI and explainable AI thing, but how we can ensure that those principles or those techniques are followed by the organization or developers, right? So there are few things that what we have discussed. What are the different global approaches to AI governance? So NIST is there. Again, US executive order. Again, OECD, some principles are there, but we are focusing on European AI Act. Now, why European AI Act here, right? So I got this particular image on the internet. So I just create the AI version of that. So if you see here, you can see America is the one who is going to innovate, right? China replicates, and Europe are the ones who are going to regulate the technology, right? So this is what is happening from the past few decades. So America innovates technology, China replicates at the lowest cost and then exports, and then here we have the Europe to regulate those technology, right? So that's why we need to learn about European AI Act, what they have done with the GDPR, and it's has the global impact across more than 100 plus countries. Same thing can happen with the European AI Act as of now. Okay. So let's try to understand about the European AI Act because Americans, Chinese, or even Indian also going through this European AI Act to develop our own AI Act here. Okay. So everyone going through that. So let's try to decode this European AI Act. So decoding of European AI Act. Now, why we are learning? Let's have an overview of this European AI Act first. So it is a world first comprehensive legal framework for AI. It's a risk-based approach. Now, what is this risk-based approach? So they have categorized the different applications or use of AI in the according to a risk category. So unacceptable, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk. So they have categorized the AI systems in this particular four categories. An entire European Act revolves around these four categories only. What is allowed, what is not allowed in each category, that is what we need to focus on. Okay. Emphasis on ethics, safety, and trust in AI system. Yes, the key goal of this European AI Act to protect the fundamental right, promote transparency, and foster the innovation. Right. So it is an overview of European AI Act. It is a world first comprehensive legal framework for AI. Now, what are the parties are covered? Now, when I say about the parties, it's basically organization, developers, researchers, users, everything comes under this particular party word. Okay. So, what are the parties are covered or to whom this AI Act is applicable? So, any provider placing AI system on the market or into service within the European Union, so it is applicable to them. Any provider of AI system outside the European Union whose system output can or is intended for the use in European Union, this is act applicable to them as well. Let's say, for example, I develop my one application having AI based application, and the user base is in Europe. So those rules and regulations is applicable to me as well. Okay. If I want to publish my application in the Europe, I need to focus, I need to comply with those rules and regulations. Okay. Now, any provider of AI system located in the EU, yes, obviously, any importer or distributor placing AI system on the market, making them available within the EU, yes. Manufacturers like Tesla, if they are integrating product, building some product, like Tesla has a robot, right? A humanoid robot. So they need to comply with that particular law. So it all comes under this particular European AI Act and the users of AI products and services within the European Union. But there are the things that are not covered inside this particular act, so it is not applicable for that. And what is this? That is basically if we use a system for military purpose. If any AI system is using for military purpose, for defense purpose, so it is not covered under this AI Act. So it is not applicable to them. Any AI system used by the public authorities or international organization or the cooperation with the EU under framework of international agreement, then it is not applicable to them. It is depend on the European Union to whom to extend like to whom to not cover inside this particular AI Act. Okay, so AI system developed and used for sole purpose of scientific research and discovery. Yes, AI system in the research, testing, and development phase before being placed into a market. Now, Act is not applicable to this if we are in the research, testing, or development phase before placed into the market. But they should adhere to this particular rules and regulation if they want to put into service or market, right? And people using AI for personal use, they are not covered inside in under this AI Act. So, in personal use is what? For example, I use this customized GPT provided by the OpenAI. So, I'm using this customized GPT for my personal use, right? For generating questions. So, so this is not applicable for me. So, people using AI for personal use, so they are not covered inside this under this AI Act. So, these are the parties that are covered and not covered. But how we are going to decide, right? So, European Union has followed a risk-based approach. So, we'll discuss that. But before that, we need to understand the definition here. So if you refer to Article 2 of European AI Act, there are many terminologies that we are going to use in this act. So they have defined each one of them. So in the legal thing, we should know, like in the legal document, we have to define what this AI system means, what this risk means, right? So we need to define that. So as of now, we are only focusing on these two keyword. We have different terminologies. You can simply go to the Article 2 for that. Okay. So what is AI system? So simple, but they have specified in this particular manner. Let's go through that. It means a machine-based system that is designed to operate with varying level of autonomy and may exhibit adaptiveness after deployment, and that on explicit or implicit objective infers from the input it receives how to generate output such as prediction, content, recommendation, or decision that can influence physical or virtual environments. So this is how any legal document specifies AI system. But for us, let's understand AI system is what simply if you are using, if you are creating, developing an AI system, so any companies comes under this particular act, or even if you are building, or even if you are integrating this AI system into an existing application, that is applicable to them also. So that is also part of AI system. Okay. Now, what is risk? So they are following the risk-based approach. So we need to define what is risk here. Risk means what? It is a combination of probability of an occurrence of harm and the severity of that particular harm. So they have defined the risk as well. It is a combination of probability of occurrence of harm and the severity of that harm. So we are focusing on this two keyword AI system and risk. The other thing as well in the article 2 for like they have defined that, so you can simply go through that. Okay. Now this is what uh, like what parties are covered, not covered, definitions. Now here start the European AI Act. Now they have taken the risk-based approach. They have categorized the different applications with these four categories: unacceptable risks, high risks, limited risks, and minimal risks here. Right? So what is unacceptable risks here? So any things like for example behavior manipulation. If any system is manipulating the behavior of an individual, that is totally prohibited because it violates the fundamental right? So these things are not acceptable. These are strictly prohibited under European AI Act. Okay, and then we have high risks, limited risks, and minimal risks. Let's try to understand this one by one. Okay, because this is only important in the European AI Act. Now, what do you understand by this particular unacceptable risk AI system? So AI systems that are deemed a threat to fundamental rights and societal values are prohibited. So whatever the AI system comes under this particular category is strictly prohibited, not allowed to operate in European Union. First one is manipulation that harms or likely to harm an AI user or another person. Exploiting the vulnerabilities of specific group of person? Yes. Social scoring leading to a detrimental or unfavorable treatment in social context. If we use AI system to keep uh, for a surveillance thing for the citizens, that is not allowed. That is strictly prohibited. Okay. So this is done by the like this is allowed in China. So China is doing this social scoring kind of thing. They are using this AI system to keep a track of the citizens, right? Indiscriminate scrapping of facial images, yes. So what I said, European AI Act strongly regulates the facial recognition application. All the AI system that use this particular facial recognition, is a strict rules for them. Okay. Emotion recognition software in the workplace and education, yes. Use of AI that categorize the person based on sensitive traits such as race, political opinions, or religious belief, not allowed under this act. It is prohibited. And biometric identification of the people, right? So if any AI system taking this as an input, whether it's facial recognition or biometric, that is not allowed except some partial ban. Okay, so it depends on the government, the member state, and in law enforcement. Okay, so with few restriction, it is allowed, right? So these are the few things that is not allowed or unacceptable in under European AI Act. So it is strictly prohibited. Now, next category is high risk AI system. Now, this category is subject to strict requirements, including risk assessment, transparency, and human oversight. Okay. So whatever the example you can see, for example, AI in critical infrastructure, right? Traffic control system, right? So here, if we want to build some application, if we want to use AI system in such cases, we should follow the requirement. We should go to the assessment. It should be transparent and human oversight, right? So we need to follow this particular case. Then only it is allowed to operate in EU, right? Also, education and professional testing, algorithms assessing the student or job candidates. Again, hiring process, right? So I should uh, they should provide a reason why they have rejected me, right? So there should be a proper risk assessment and transparent thing should be there. Again, AI in healthcare, so diagnostics tool or robot assist surgery. So they need to take a proper approval from the uh, body, and then they can work in the European Union, right? So this high risk application system, want they need to follow the requirement and do the assessment here. Okay, then only they are allowed to do that, operate that. Okay, law enforcement, predictive policy system, AI for social benefit allocation, for example, welfare, unemployment benefits. If you are using that, then it comes under a high risk AI system. Okay, so what are the requirements for this? If you are building an application, so we should do conformity assessment, so regular evaluation to ensure compliance. Yes. Data governance, high quality data set to avoid the bias and human oversight. So human must remain in control of the decision that made by the AI system, right? So that's the requirement that we need to follow if we if our application comes under this particular high risk category. Okay. So simple, high risk and unacceptable risks. Now then we have, okay, so also like nowadays what happening, we are using this general purpose AI model, or we can say foundation models like native AI, right? So this also comes under a high risk AI system, because this GPI were not defined in the original proposal but have been included in the current version to address the situation. So previously this was not included, but now they have included this thing inside the high risk category. Okay, where AI systems serve various purposes or are integrated into a other high risk system. So we can build application on the top of foundation models. So that comes under a high risk AI system. So same regulation we need to follow in this case as well. Okay. So this is about the high risk system. And if this is about the developers, if they are using the foundation model to build the AI thing, then it is applicable to them. But what about the providers of this GPAI model, for example, OpenAI? They should have a technical documentation, including training and testing process and evaluation results. They should provide technical documentation, how that model get trained, or the testing process, and how it is got evaluated, right? So if you visit the FAQ section of OpenAI website, they have given few information about this. Now draw up information and documentation to supply to downstream providers, right? So if I'm building an application using an OpenAI thing, so they should provide a proper documentation to me, right? So that intend to integrate the GPI model into their own AI system in order to that later understand capabilities and limitation is enabled to comply. So they should provide a proper information and documentation to the downstream providers. Again, it should establish a policy to respect the copyright directive, and also it should not violate the intellectual rights, right? So publish sufficiently detailed summary about the content used for training the GPI model, right? So mostly deals with the documentation part. So if I am building an application using this general purpose model, I also should provide the documentation regarding this, how I am going to use this model in my application, what extra thing I am doing in that. So entire documentation we need to provide, right? So this comes under a high risk category. So previously they don't put this, but now they have included in high risk category. Okay. Now we have limited risk AI system. So what is limited risk AI system? So AI system that moderate risk and subject to transparency obligations, right? So like most of the generative AI systems, such as chatbots like ChatGPT, a base system, emotion recognition system, biometric categorization system, are generating a deep fake content as well. So this comes under a limited risk AI system. But what is the requirement for this? So transparency requirement. The user must be informed about the system functionality and intent. If we look at any application nowadays, they have some support chatbot, right? But these are AI based chatbot. So they should tell us we are interacting with the AI chatbot, right? So individual must know that they're interacting with the AI. Okay, so user must inform about the system functionality and intent. So if we follow this requirement, then our application can come under limited risk AI system if we are dealing with this chatbot kind of thing. Okay, so you individual must know that we are using or we are interacting with the AI. Okay. So like one example again, what they have mentioned, Chat GPT. So previously, if you see when we give any prompt here, so they have that used to mention some lines here, so that it is a Chat GPT chatbot. It may do some mistake, right? So there was one warning previously, right? So that is also a limited risk AI system. Now, what is minimal risk AI system? Act does not define this category. It includes AI system not in other categories, like for example, AI-enabled video games or spam filters, right? Here, we are using this AI system for spam, like for calls, for email, for messaging, for SMS also, right? Or enable AI-enabled video games. So that does not harm individuals. So that comes under a minimal risk AI system, right? So what are the obligations related to this category? AI category will not be subject to any string obligation except for adhering to general product safety. So what are the general product safety is there for any system that should follow? That's it, right? So European AI Act doesn't regulate this minimal risk category. Okay. So this is about the four risk-based approach that European Union has followed. Okay. But what about the India? Can we follow the same approach? We'll be discussing that as well. Okay. So this is about the risk-based approach here. Now, how we can ensure this thing? Like uh, this particular system falls into this particular category. There must be some body, there must be some governance behind that, right? So here you can see a governance architecture, right? So this is also given by the European Union only. To ensure proper enforcement of this, all the rules and regulation, several governing bodies are needs to be set up. An AI office within the Commission to enforce the common rules across the EU, a scientific panel of independent experts to support the enforcement activities, and an advisory forum for stakeholders to provide technical expertise to the AI board and commission, right? So it should have a independent expert as well, because they should understand, they should have a domain knowledge for that and how AI system can affect that particular thing, right? Member state means European countries will designate national authorities to ensure the compliance. And what if the company doesn't follow these rules and regulation? For non-compliance with the act, it could result in a fine up to 30 million euro, or we can say 6% of global annual turnover, whichever is higher, right? So this is what the AI governance thing, what they have suggested in the AI Act. Okay. Now, what are the obligations for developers and users? So this is about the what they have followed, what is the governance, but as a developer and users, what are the obligations for that, right? So for developers or AI providers, ensure compliance with design and development standard, maintain technical documentation and risk management system. So any system we are developing and we are using in the, like if you want to use or bring into European market, it should have a proper technical documentation on which data it get trained, how they are going to use our data, is there a risk management system, who is accountable for this. So proper mechanism should be there and the documentation should be there, okay, for developers. Also, conduct conformity assessment and notify authorities of high risk systems, right? So this is for the developers. And for users, use AI in accordance with the intended purpose, monitor system operation for the potential risks. Anyway, we cannot decide how the users are going to use that thing, but we can definitely regulate the developers here, right? So technical documentation and risk management system is very, very important, right? If we want to operate in the European Union countries. So this is about the obligations for developers and users. Now, what is the impact of this AI Act? So first thing, like what we discussed earlier about explainable AI, trust, right? So it will help us to promote the trust. By ensuring that AI is ethical, transparent, and safe, Act aims to foster public trust in AI technologies. Very, very important, right? Encourage innovation. Clear regulation will provide business with guidelines and encouraging the innovation in AI while minimizing the risks. Now, people can argue that if we put so much regulation to the companies, then the startups or MSME or no innovation may not go to that extent, right? But what European Union has suggested, clear regulation will help the business with the guidelines to develop a AI system with the minimizing risk, the minimal risk, right? So harmonize standard, create uniform rules across EU and make it easier for companies operate within the European market. So yes, global influence. That's why we are learning this European AI Act. Expected to set a global standard for AI governance, much like GDPR has for data privacy, right? So that's why everyone is talking about this European AI Act. So it can be expected to set as a global standard for AI governance thing, right? So this is about the impact of AI Act here. Again, compliance cost. So high risk AI providers may face significant cost for conformity assessment and regulatory compliance, right? So cost will be more. Innovation slow down. Yes, what we have discussed. Critics argue that overly strict regulation might stifle the innovation, especially for small business and startups. Yes, one of the challenge and global coordination. So we should ensure the compatibility with the other AI frameworks, for example, US and China, which be challenging for the international business. What if every country come up with their own AI act? So it is difficult for a company or organization to deal with that, right? To work in those companies, right? So there should be some global coordination for this thing, right? So these are the few challenges in the European AI Act talk about. Okay. Any question about the European
Participants,
AI
if
Act?
you have any queries related to so far discussed, kindly please post it in the chat window.
Okay, great. Yeah, so these are the like a few things we should have information about that. Okay, this is a AI Act, so just go through this. So if you have any question, you can simply just can simply mail me about after the session as well. So what we have discussed up till now, so four categories are there, and what is covered, what is not covered, right? So this is only there in the case of AI Act, and rest is all about the governance part and the non-compliance part. So you can simply go to the documentation. Okay, but I hope you understand. You got the overall idea of how this European AI Act, what is covered inside this particular European AI Act. So it is following the risk-based approach. Can India follow the same approach, risk-based approach, or people are talking about the sector-based approach? Now, what is sector-based approach? Now, previously in the last session, many students asked, like many participants asked about the healthcare thing, right? So do we need to follow different principles or different rules and regulation for the AI system using in healthcare, applicable to healthcare? So that is the thing that we need to discuss. So sector-based approach or risk-based approach or hybrid model. So we need to discuss about that, right? So we don't have a proper AI Act as of now, but it's evolving, right? Let's discuss. So now we are going to discuss how European AI Act is applicable to India, right? So let's discuss that. So first one is the global standard, what we have discussed. So it is going to have a global impact, just as GDPR set a global standard for data privacy. This act also influence AI regulations worldwide, including in India. Now, what Indian companies need to do with this act? So any Indian company's business exporting AI-powered product or services to EU will need to comply with this European AI Act. So, like what India is there, we are exporting the IT services to the entire world. If you talk about the Europe, so IT services in Europe, like most of the times, India is providing the IT services, right, in the Europe. So they are following this GDPR guidelines. But what if we want to do the same thing in the case of AI as well? The companies offering AI-driven SaaS solution, they need to also comply with that particular European standard, right? European AI Act. So it is applicable to Indian companies as well if they want to work in the European market. Okay. Now, compliance for Indian export. Yes, this is what we talk about. Indian business, especially those in IT services, AI solutions, and healthcare, will need to their AI system to comply with European AI Act when operating in the EU. Yes. So risk-based approach could favor compliance model for Indian exporters. So here, that's what we said. Whether it's a sector-based thing or a risk-based approach, we should follow. But if I want to, any company want to works in European Union, so they need to follow this act. And you can see for healthcare, for finance, for manufacturing, uh, these are the sectors it get may affected, right? So we need to think about the sector-based regulation as well. Now, what is India's policy here? Right? So India is in the process of formulating a national AI framework under India AI mission. So we are still developing this. And what it refers to, it develops a risk-based classification for AI system similar to a European AI Act, emphasize on human-centric and ethical AI principles, and ensuring the alignment with the global standard, right? So this is what India should do in the context of European Union. And introduce transparency, accountability required for the high risk application. So similar to a risk-based approach. Okay, risk-based approach. This is about the India's policy alignment. Okay. Now, what India should learn from this particular European law. Okay. So lessons for India's AI regulation, risk-based categorization, what they have done. So India can adopt a similar classification to regulate AI system based on their potential impact, right? For example, healthcare or low risk like spam filters. So risk-based categorization, one thing, high risk application. So India faces challenges in sectors like welfare distribution, credit scoring, and surveillance, where AI has significant societal implications. So we need to think about if European Union put this into a high risk application, do India should put this into a high risk application or not? Because we have a diverse country, so we need to think about that. We have different welfare scheme as well, right? So that's why we are talking about a sector based thing. But let's discuss in terms of European Union Act here. So India could enforce conformity assessment for high risk AI, ensuring fairness, transparency, and accountability. Yes, same thing we can do. Fundamental right. So focuses on protection of fundamental rights, privacy, non-discrimination, and safety. India could integrate similar principles to balance innovation and societal well-being. Okay. So these are the few things that India should take. Risk-based categorization, clearly monitor high-risk application. We need to redefine according to our requirement what should be the part of high-risk application and what should be part of minimal risk application, right? Or limited risk application. So in the context of India, we need to categorize in different category, right? So all this application, right? Now, innovation-friendly ecosystem. So EAA allows minimal risk AI to thrive with little regulation, which India could replicate to promote AI innovation, particularly for the startup, right? So for startup, we should allow some minimal risk AI thing. So there should be some things for the startup so that they will get some waiver over those rules and regulations, right? So this is what we can do. Challenges for India. So as I said, diverse country, right? So India faces unique challenges. Diverse population, yes. So India's socio-economic and linguistic diversity makes AI bias significant risk. So can we create a data set, because whatever we have discussed, that is deals with the data. Can we create a data set for like consists of all the linguistic diversity, right? We have a data in English language only, but what if about the other language, right? So because if we talk about the linguistic diversity or cultural thing, there can be a different biasness, but we don't have a proper data set. We have a data, but that cannot be used for training a AI model, right? So what should we do? So here you can see a few things are doing like working as of now. So if you talk about AI for Bharat, IIT Madras doing AI for Bharat, they are building this data set, okay, indigenous data set based on the linguistic and as well as a cultural thing. So they are building this data set, this AI for Bharat, and they are doing other many things as well, right? So it's a diverse population, could be a challenges. Lack of data privacy law. Unlike GDPR, India has this Digital Data Protection Act, but it is still evolving, right? So there is no robust law, data privacy law, essential for effective AI regulation. Even though we bring this particular Digital Data Protection Act, but are the citizens aware about this one, right? So we need to educate them that companies cannot use your data without your consent. So again, the problem of digital literacy comes into a picture, right? So still India is not fully digital literate. And now we are talking about the AI literacy part. Okay. So again, we need to think about that thing as well. How we can ensure that people are aware about all those things. So we should know that there is a proper mechanism if my fundamental right get violated. But most of us don't care about that, right? So because we don't have proper information about that, right? So here comes the concept of AI literacy part, similar to a digital literacy. So we are going to talk about that more. Again, digital divide. Yes, diverse population, literacy is low, digital literacy is low. It because of that digital divide happen. So access to AI-driven services must ensure inclusivity for rural and marginalized population, right? So because of this, there might be a chance of happening AI divide as well. Now we are talking about the AI divide. So this should not happen. People should be aware about this AI chatbot thing, right? Nowadays, it's integrated everywhere. Even if we talk about the banking application, they have this customized AI chatbot. But are people aware about that particular features? They are talking to a chatbot, not to a person. Again, the literacy part comes into a picture, right? So India has the unique challenges. Even though we come up with the AI Act, but it's the people who can implement like take the initiative, right? So we should literate the people in these things. So what happens 20 years back because of internet digital divide, that should not happen AI divide nowadays, okay? So there should be a proper thing to uh, there should proper solution for that, right? Startups and MSME, sorry, startups and MSME. So smaller business may struggle with compliance costs if India adopts to over strict regulation. Yes, this can be a thing because compliance cost is more, so startups and MSME may face an issue in that, right? These are the few challenges for India. So any questions like what we have discussed in this particular thing, how AI Act is applicable to India, lessons or challenges for India's?
Dear participants, if you have any queries, kindly please put it in the chat window.
Okay, great. Now, how can we implement this framework similar to European Union in AI Act in India, right? So, in this particular thing, I have collected the information based on the various podcasts or various interviews given by the people from the company side or from the government side. So I've collected points from that. There is no proper single source for what are the content that I'm going to present now. It is based on the various podcast interviews and the documentation that uh, India A IndiaAI.gov.in has released. So that is Ministry of IT. Okay. So let's try to discuss that now. So where things stands in India as of now. In terms of regulation, sectoral guidelines are going on. Yes. So risk-based approach is fine. But India should go for sector-based approach. So if we talk about the sector like healthcare, again, uh, finance or other important sector like manufacturing or education, so there should be a sector-based regulation as well. If we don't regulate this healthcare, it may happen that whatever the things that we are going to develop in healthcare, they not be it may not be accessible to everyone, right? Due to a cost factor or any other things, or may not be safe. Who is going to take the responsibility for those things? So sector-based rules and regulation is required, especially in the case of healthcare and finance. Then we have Ministry of IT AI Advisory Committee set up on March 24, and then they are talking about the regulation starting from the June, right? This year only. So this is the scenario in the India. What about the governance? So Office of Principal Scientific Advisory, it's ongoing. So they are thinking about that. What about the strategy that India is following as of now? So India has this national AI mission. So whatever comes under this thing, whatever we are doing for the AI field, everything comes under this India AI mission. Okay. And we have national AI strategy that is given by Niti Aayog in 2018. And here we have made the recommendation. So anyway, based on this only, India AI mission is working under Ministry of IT. Okay. Now, what is this India's AI mission, national AI mission? Let's talk about that thing. Okay. Yeah. So, any in what way India can safeguard its rural people who are digitally illiterate? Sir. Yeah. So good question. So what I said about the one example of chatbot, right? So if you talk about the initiative of Microsoft and one more company, I don't know name, Bhashini is there, right? Bhashini. So what they have done, they have integrated the voice-based chatbot in WhatsApp or in some application. Now we can select the language so people from Maharashtra can speak in Marathi, they can understand the Marathi language, interpret that thing. Also Hindi, Tamil language is there, right? So based on the linguistic diversity or cultural diversity, we need to build the application, right? It's very difficult to uh, explain this particular thing to a uh, like people who is not much literate, right? So we need to build a system in a such a way that it should be easily accessible for them. Like what we have done UPI. People don't know how this UPI works, but they know how to use that, right? They also know that they are using an internet-based thing here. So similarly, what Bhashini is doing in rural India, we can take the example of that and maybe we can think about that. So they're also working with the rural India where we don't have enough digital literacy, but it's working pretty well. So so there is one a feature like if they simply say, I want to apply for this one particular healthcare welfare scheme, right? Like for example, a Ladli Behan Yojana in Maharashtra. So people can talk in Marathi and they will give the guidelines in Marathi itself. So do this, click on this particular link. So entire mechanism is there for that. So Bhashin is working on that. And yeah, so we need to educate the people. There is no way, even we bring such applications, we need to educate the people, right? Not in that technical what we are discussing, but just an overview of that. As of now, if we talk about the digital literacy, People only know how to use Facebook. They only know how to use Instagram for entertainment purpose. Also, YouTube, if you see, just they use just for entertainment purpose, not for educational purpose, right? So we should tell them, you go to YouTube. These are the few channels. If you want to prepare for any exam, there are the things. If you want to know any information about any government, there are a few videos available. Okay, you should go for them. It's just one click away, right? You must have observed this from the people. They are using this Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, but simple question they are not able to do. Simple tasks they are not able to. If they simply do a search, they can easily find out the solution for that, right? So YouTube, Facebook, they should, like, we should educate them how to use this thing as well. Okay. So this is thing like education or AI literacy part is the one that we should do in terms for like illiterate or rural India case, we can say. So when I talk about illiterate, it also include uh, individual who has like not just in terms of degree, but in terms of AI knowledge. I am saying, okay, they don't have any information about AI. So we need to share some information. We need to educate themselves in AI. Okay. So let's talk about what India AI mission is doing. So that also part of India AI mission, national AI mission. So first one is India compute capacity. So any developers, any organization, if you want to use AI thing or build AI system, they want the compute power, right? So this pillar focuses on creating a scalable computing ecosystem with over 10,000 GPUs through public-private partnership to meet demand for India's growing AI startup and research community. So it's an AI marketplace will offer AI as a service and pre-trained models serving as a central hub for essential AI resources. So this is what India compute capacity. So in National AI Mission, we have 7 pillars. Okay, we have 7 pillars, and on each for each case we have a different thing. Let's discuss one by one. India AI Innovation Center. Right. So what is this? This center is dedicated to developing and deploying indigenous large multimodal models and domain-specific foundation models in critical sectors, right? So when I talk about domain-specific, again, legal, again, healthcare, right? We cannot use this general purpose model for this legal and healthcare. We have to build a domain-specific foundation model, right? Then only it can interpret that particular thing. So this is what India Innovation Center is, second pillar of India AI mission. India Dataset Platform, yes. So this platform aims to streamline the access of high quality non-personal dataset for AI innovation. So AI Unified Data Platform will provide seamless access to this dataset for Indian startups and researchers. So here lots of IITs, ISCs, and other institutions are part of this particular program. So India AI Dataset Platform. Okay. India AI Application Development Initiative, another important pillar. So this initiative promotes AI application in critical sectors by addressing problem statement from central ministry, state departments, and other institutions, right? So it focuses on developing, scaling, and promoting the adoption of impactful AI solutions, right? So India AI Application Development Initiative. Okay. So next one is India AI Future a Skill. Yes. So like what we are doing now. So we are trying to share more information about this AI thing with the educators, with the teachers, right? So India AI Future Skills. So this pillar aims to reduce the barrier to entry into AI programs by increasing AI courses at the undergraduate, masters, and PhD level. So data and AI labs will be established in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to offer foundation courses. Okay. So this is also one of the pillars of National AI Mission. Okay. India AI Startup Financing. Now, this pillar supports and accelerates a deep tech AI startups by providing streamlined access for to funding and innovative AI projects. So these are the few pillars that India AI Mission is working on. And the last pillar, that is basically what? Safety, safe and trusted AI. So here comes the concept of AI governance, right? 7th pillar. Now, this pillar will enable the implementation of responsible AI project that promote the development of indigenous tool and framework. So if you see in the this few pillars, we talk about the indigenous tool, indigenous data set, right? In the context of India and framework. So self-assessment checklist should be there for innovators, and other guidelines and governance framework should be there that advance the adoption of responsible AI principles throughout the AI life cycles, right? So India AI so works under the Ministry of IT, announced an expression of interest or responsible AI promoting fair, transparent, and ethical AI practices. So this currently the proposals are being evaluated, right? So this is how the national AI mission is working on this entire AI thing under the Ministry of IT, right? Any question for this national AI mission?
Participants, if you have any question, please post it in the chat window.
Yeah, I got.
So there is a question. Could I read?
Yeah, is that any tool to validate data generated by AI? Yeah, so yeah, there are many tools that check whether it is AI generated content or not. Okay, for text based it is there, but image and for audio still it is not being fully proved. But yeah, for text based it is there. So we can explore that. For text based kind of thing, we have the tools that we can check whether that is AI generated or not, right? So I will tell you one example here. So I work on PSOSM course, Privacy Security Online Social Media, under Professor PK from Triple IT Hyderabad. So we have subject to assignment here, right? Subject to assignment, weekly assignment we have in this particular course. So I need to evaluate those subject to assignment. Now, sometimes what students do, they will simply go to Chat GPT and they will copy paste the solution from that. Okay. But anyway, you can see that how well structured that answer is, right? So we know that it is not written by the that particular individual, right? So what I used to do, if you talk about Google Classroom, there is one feature, right? So we can upload our solution. So what I used to do, I create a solution based on the Chat GPT itself, and then we can compare this submission of student with the file that I have provided. Now this file also Chat GPT generated only. Okay. If I found, okay, this is the uh, like plagiarism check kind of thing. So plagiarism check based on what? Based on this input file. And this is generated by the Chat GPT, right? So it will always give the different answer. But if you talk about few questions, it will give the few examples. Like if I just ask, tell me a few examples for anonymized social media. So most of the time, ChatGPT will give the same answer. So then we can easily find out, okay, so this answer is matching with this particular thing. So it is a AI generated or ChatGPT generated thing, right? So I used to do that before. Okay, so this is how we can do. We need to come up with a few innovative ideas as well, because student keep nowadays what we have, like once we send an email to student, don't do this, we'll give 0 marks. What they have done, they have one more website. They are going to convert this Chat GPT generated content to a humanized written thing. So another website is there. We simply copy paste that Chat GPT content to that. It will rephrase that entire sentence and it will give the score. So it is now 0% AI generated. Now they will submit this as a assignment. So it is difficult to track that. Okay. So we need to be smart enough than student. Okay. Yeah. Blue score for text. Yeah. This is what things we can do. So this is about a national AI mission. Now this is I have taken from the indiaai.gov.in what they have doing. What are the 6 pillars? Now how to proceed? Yeah. So this information I have collected from various podcast interviews from the individual and a few events as well. So how to proceed in the context of India? First, establish a risks-based classification for AI system. Like what we have discussed in the case of European Union, risks-based classification, we can follow that. Second, draft an AI-specific regulatory framework. So we should have our own regulatory framework that is AI specific, right? Set up national AI board. So there should be some governance structure should be there, national AI board, or maybe Ministry of AI, or maybe same AI board will come under Ministry of IT as well. It may happen. Ensure transparency and human oversight, right? Promote AI innovation while regulating the risks. So we should promote AI regulation and while regulating the risks. So there should be some a domain expert who knows about the AI system as well as this regulation, right? So if you see nowadays this AI governance, again, it can be an entire big topic. Okay, so if you talk about the law thing like LLB, in that they are offering this AI governance as a course or maybe a policy. So they are offering this as a course. In law, definitely there is a course on AI governance. Okay, so they are trying to introduce this thing. So promote AI innovation while regulating the risk. Then we have focus on sector specific regulation. So this is what I am talking about. So we should focus on sector specific AI regulation. So here you can see healthcare. So regulate diagnostic tools, ensure safety and reliability, because something wrong happens in this particular category, it is going to affect the entire ecosystem, right? So it's critical sector healthcare. So we should have a specific rules for this particular sector. Again, finance, prevent biasness in credit scoring or fraud detection system. It should be transparent as well. So we should have rules and regulations for this particular sector. Education, regulate AI-driven assessment to ensure a fairness. Okay, so these are the few sectors that we should focus on. Also a legal thing as well. So nowadays we are using this AI system for legal thing in the court hearing as well. Okay, so uh, if you have seen the news, we are using this AI system for a legal hearing as well. But whether it is foolproof, not sure. Whether it's providing the reason or acceptable reason, again a question mark is there. So that is subjectivity kind of thing. Even if they're providing the reason, whether it's acceptable or not. But what if they directly provide, okay, under this particular article, under this particular section, this is not allowed. Because of this, you are going to get this much uh, penalty or whatever is there, right? So yeah, definitely we are implementing this AI in the legal case, but again, reliability principle comes into a picture, right? And transparent. Build ethical and inclusive AI. So here you can see address the digital divide. Now, whenever we are talking about in the context of India, we always talk about the digital divide literacy part as well. Okay, so AI literacy is my favorite topic. I'm working as of now on this one. So you can see like more thing towards this AI literacy. So address a digital divide and socio-economic disparity in India. So very, very important. Even if you build a system, even if you build a regulation, even the companies are following the principles, but are the users know how to use this AI system ethically, right? Beneficially. So that is the question mark here. Promote inclusivity in AI design, ensuring systems cater to diverse language, cultures, and abilities, right? And it require bias audit for AI systems, especially those affecting the marginalized group. So building ethical and inclusive AI is very, very important, right? So it's not like that we are building an AI system for a particular group of people, right? It should be inclusive. It should be for everyone. It should be accessible for everyone, right? So we are focusing on that aspect as well. Okay, because AI divide should not happen if they are not able to access the this AI build a system. Okay, so AI system. Enforce penalties for non-compliance. Yeah, so what we have in European AI Act, similar, we can have some penalties for non-compliance part as well, right? So again, collaborate with the global partners. So if we see European Union, we can collaborate with them. We can work with them toward this AI regulation. How Indian companies can work in the European market? Can we sign some agreement such that we should get uh, some less restriction, or maybe whatever we are developing, it should fall under a minimal risk category, right? So collaborate with the global partners. And this is the one last point and important point, that is train and educate the stakeholders, right? So again, AI literacy thing here. So empowering the decision makers, right? So equip policymakers, legal professionals with knowledge to create effective AI laws and regulation here, right? So we should uh, we should create a rules and regulations such a way that our policymakers and legal professionals with the knowledge to create an effective AI law. So we will take the help of these people. Preparing educators. So teachers can use AI as a tool to enhance learning. So if you observe my slides, I have added few image. I have labeled it as AI generated image, right? So we can do that, right? So we can create a content using the chat GPT or any model, but for educational purpose, right? So teachers should use AI as a tool to enhance learning, right? And educate the student about its implication. So when the chat GPT came, many universities or many countries banned this chat GPT, or universities banned because students are using this for assignment purpose, right? For doing their assignments. That's why they have banned the chat GPT. But now what they are doing? They are trying to create some like question in such a way that it should uh, what we can say, then so there's some creativity, okay, in that particular question, right? So student should not be able to use chat gpt to get that answer, right? So we need to think about that. We cannot say that we are giving the question, students should not use assignment. It's up to them, but we need to think about how we can allow student to use chat gpt to solve problem. So if you see here in iits is instructor, or if you see professor, they give open book question, right? So you can use any book, any resources available on internet. This is the question, try to come up with the answer. So that thing we should encourage now. Using chat gpt is allowed, we cannot stop them, because if you see what copilot is done in github or vs, so they are integrating copilot, right? So if I simply give a prompt, create a simple static website having this much features, by using this technology they are going to they are going to write the entire code for me. So we should not stop the student using this tool. We should encourage them to use this tool so that they can use this to more effectively, right? So this is what the companies are also focusing as of now. So if you see Copilot by Microsoft, if we use this, we can simply build the simple web pages in a minute. Simple giving a prompt, right? So we should encourage student to use this AI tools, not restrict the student to use the AI tools. That's what I said previously. I used to check for this plagiarism kind of thing for ChatGPT, but we don't do now. Okay. So we should encourage the student to use ChatGPT for solving the questions. Again, but here it depends on the educator or professors who are creating those questions, right? So we need to think about that aspect as well. So we need to change our thinking how we are proceeding with this education thing as well. We should implement AI in teaching, as well as we can also think about how students can use this technology for their uh, assignment purpose, right? So according to that, we need to create a question or frame a question, right? So that thing is there. Preparing educators. So again, the concept of AI literacy for teachers, right? So if I talk about AI literacy, it's a big thing for teachers, for doctors, for general public, right? So it's a big thing. Any question?
Participants, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat window.
Yeah. So yeah, I got very good comment feedback. Thank you so much. Great. So yeah. So whatever the challenges what we have discussed up till now, government will do their job, companies will do their job, but how we are going to educate the people, right? That is what we have to think. So here comes the concept of AI literacy. So launching AI literacy programs for various stakeholders, group like policymakers, legal professionals, teachers. Again, we are focusing on teachers, right? If we don't focus on teachers, again, there is no way we can implement that in the larger scale. And the general public is a crucial to ensure effective adoption, regulation, and ethical use of AI, right? So that is what AI literacy is. So enabling informed citizens, general public awareness helps people understand the benefit and risks of AI. fostering trust and reducing the misuse. So we should know what are the tools available in the market. Student can use, teachers can use, how we can collaborate that, how we can integrate that into our system and make the most of that. Right. So one example again, what I said in my course, again in IITM, we have something called online proctored exam. Right. So in the machine learning practice course, we have this one. So students are free to use this one, right? So if we talk about the Google Colab, they have also have this AI features, right? So we are allowing the student to use that, but we are creating a course in a such a way that their thinking should be like that. Again, if you see how questions we are creating a question in such a way that if ChatGPT generates some code, are students able to find out what this code is doing? We are not checking whether they're able to write a code from scratch or not. If I give a code, are students able to find out the output of that particular code? If I give one task, this is the code that this is doing. What we do, we give the code and we give this is the output and how this code is working. Now, if I want to achieve this particular task, what changes I need to make in this particular code, right? So this is what we should focus on, because anyway they are not going to write a code from scratch in future, right? It's just now a simple one prompt away, but they should understand how that code is working and how to do changes, where to do changes according to my requirement. Okay, so that's how we should teach the student nowadays. So this is about the train and educate the stakeholders. So I think that's it. Any question if you have? I think we have completed early, but we have good time for question and answer, so we can take question and answer here. Yeah, thank you. And here you can see the spelling of you. It should be O again. Irresponsible AI. They are not checking the spelling, right, while creation of image. So again, I am not responsible. ChatGPT is responsible for this thing, right? Yeah. Any question?
Participants, kindly post your queries in the chat window. The session is open for questions as we have come to the end of the session. Kindly post your queries in the chat window.
Yeah. So this is what we are doing here in the context of international AI mission. Okay. So these are the information kind of thing we should be aware of. Yes. Image you generated through is giving in good English for meets some other language. Why? How to change it? Yeah. Again, a good thing. So see, it depends on what prompt you are giving, right? So if you talk about, let me take my last slide here. Mhm. But yeah. So what happened? How to- Yeah. If you talk about this particular image that I have generated, so what previously that it has done, spelling of America was wrong. So if you see in the chat GPT, we have some feature, we can select this particular area and you prompt add text, then colon, then America innovates, right? So you give that prompt and select that particular region. Then it will be a proper English as well. Okay. So here you can see a spelling, sometimes spelling mistake it does. So you can simply select that particular region, then you add text and then whatever text you want to have in your image, right? So that thing you can use. And if you talk about my last slide, what I have given the prompt, simple, create a thank you slide for my presentation. That's it. So it's automatically generate this particular image. Yeah. Next question: how we can implement responsible AI in healthcare? Yeah. So again, the healthcare base. So see, so it depends on the application, right? So if we talk about cancer detection, right? So it deals with the image recognition thing, right? So we should follow those principles, right? If it is giving me output, okay, there is a tumor, so you should provide a proper reason for that. What we say silency map, right? So it should provide, okay, this is the region what we observe in CT scan or X-ray, and based on that, this AI agent has decided that it is a tumor, right? So what is size of that? Everything is should be given. So again, explainable AI concept. Why? what are the factors. So those things is there. So we need to retrain the model again and again, and we need to clean our data set. Auditing the data set is very important here. Okay, auditing the data set and make sure there is no biasness. Okay. Why we want to take European AI Act as a reference? Yeah. So as of now, this is the only legally binding AI Act. Legally binding. Whatever is available is just a framework, but it's a legally binding AI Act. And what happens with the GDPR, right? So it is implemented in another 100 plus countries nowadays, right? So we should follow, we should take this as a reference, and based on that, we can take a few, like what they have done, risk-based approach. We can also follow that. But also we should focus on sector-based approach as well in the context of India. There are few things that is not allowed in European Union, but can we allow that in the context of India? That we have to decide. It's not like that we are taking directly this particular thing entirely. We can follow the risk-based approach, but this thing can be a different here. Okay, examples of that. Okay, so in this way we can proceed. Again, sector-based thing. Again, AI literacy part. All this comes under this one. So we need to educate based on the diverse country we have, sector specific and risk based. So they have only followed risk based approach, but we should go for multiple things.
Participants, if you have any further queries, please do post it in the chat window.
So yeah, European AI is taken as a reference for like almost every country is following that only. If you talk about US also, they are also talking about this European AI Act, because it is a possibility that uh, it can be adopted by many other countries. And if you see, most of the IT sectors in India export their services to European countries. If we want to do that, we should focus on those rules and regulation what is there in the European AI Act. And if we are focusing on that, also if we implement in the context of India, so that will be easier for the companies. They don't need to change their policies for every country, right? So again, global coordination is required here. Okay, thank you. So if you want to know more about this European AI Act, you can simply Google European AI Act. So you can get the PDF. It's uh, 400 pages, I guess. But just on that same page, we have a summary of that particular European AI Act. So you can go through a summary. I have gone through summary and taken the content from that only. Okay. And you can also go through this National AI Framework, National AI Mission. So simply go to indiaai.gov.in. They are doing many other things. It's just the 7 pillars they are doing, but the other things also you can simply visit their website. Okay. So that
There
is the
is the other query
indiaai.gov. Yeah.
in the chat
Let,
window. If AI system deviates from governance law, is this possible to find it?
yeah. Again, that's what I'm saying. We need to educate the users. Like many companies are not following our data privacy law. What we are doing. So we should complain to this particular governing bodies or board, right? If I found my this AI system is not following or it is giving me a bias content or manipulating my behavior, then I should immediately report or file a case against that. But there should be a proper mechanism for that. Some board should be there, mechanism should be there for that, right? So in this way, we can ensure the things. This is happening in the European Union. They are more aware about those things. But here we don't care about data privacy, but AI is the long way to go, right? So again, it deals with the how we can educate the people in terms of AI. Even if we create all the rules, even the companies are following, but how to keep a track of? Unless someone complained, government is not going to check it again, right? So that's the issue. So educate the users. Yeah.
There is the other one more question.
Yeah.
Can we make any automatic system which classify risk categories using NLP?
Yeah. We can do that, but yeah, we can do that, right? For example, like if you want to build something like someone is messaging negative way, in a negative way, right? So we can uh, put some word like a bag of word kind of thing, and then we can do that, right? So yeah, definitely we can do this in the this category using NLP in the context of text. Yeah, automatic system also we can build. Yeah. So if we talk about the social media context, we can scrap the data, then we can do the analysis. So many applications are there. For example, tweet create. Then we have what's fuzzy for WhatsApp, tweet create, and bird eye or watch eye, yeah, bird eye, I think. These are the few tools based on NLP. They are scrapping the tweet, not scrapping. They are checking whether that particular tweet is having some harmful message or not, or credibility of that particular uh, tweet, right? So there are few tools which works on this one. Okay, so you can just Google about tweet create. Bird eye or eye is there, but I don't know tweet eye or bird eye something is there. But tweet create is for sure. Bird eye you can explore. Okay.
Participants, kindly do post your queries in the chat window, if any. So if there are no further queries, probably in future, if you want to clarify anything, please do mail your queries to the registered mail ID of the FDP on responsible AI. We would take back to Piyush sir and get back to you.
Yeah.
So can you formally conclude, sir?
Yeah. Just one more thing. Like many participants are asking about the healthcare thing.
Fine, sir.
So
You carry on.
yeah, you can reach out to one professor. He's a professor in AIMS Delhi, Dr. Levy. So he was our IIT MBA student. So he's working in that thing, like healthcare thing, right? So he's a professor, he's a doctor, so he's the right person to guide you in the healthcare thing. Okay, so you can simply Google his name. You will get all the information about him. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Any other question? We have 15 minutes. We can take question. Any suggestions? What should be doing as an educator, as a teacher to promote AI literacy, right? Just you can just commit your suggestion in the chat box. What should we do for to foster like AI literacy, promote AI literacy, or how we can implement this thing? Okay. Okay. Great. I think, ma'am, yeah, that's it. If you want to reach out to me, you can mail me or you can uh, follow me on LinkedIn. Okay. That's it.
Sir, there is one other question from Dr. Soni. How we can implement anti-hoc explainable AI?
Anti-hoc. That is ANTE, anti-hoc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It was discussed. Yeah. So there are few things. Just explore about this retain. Okay. And Bay deep learning, Bayes theorem, deep learning, and then retain. It's a reverse uh, time. Some network is there, right? So I forgot the full form. You can just explore about this anti-hoc, retain, and Bayes deep learning. Okay. For post-hoc, Lime and Shape are the famous one. Enough content is there. You can simply go through that. But we are focusing on post-hoc. You can explore about anti-hoc as well. So just explore more about this retain and what is this Bayes deep learning thing is. Okay. Can be embedded to hardware.
How should AI input or output can embed it to a hardware?
Uh, See, again, I'm not aware about that, but I will just give one example, like how this IoT works. Right? It collect a data using the sensors, and then we send it to a cloud based providers. Again, we collect data in the hardware thing, and then we do some process, right? So similar kind of thing we can also do in terms of AI. So anyway, AI is what we are collecting a data. So that thing you can say. Yeah. I
Sir,
don't
if
have
there
a
is
proper
a
answer.
person requesting your mail ID, is it okay that shall I ask them to follow your LinkedIn or?
Yeah, I can also. Is okay to write it here in the chat?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn, or I'm also actually. Okay. Great. So that's it from my side. I hope you enjoyed the session, and yeah, we should be work on this, educate the people in AI. We are the teachers, so we should explore more about all the things, latest thing happening, and we should promote AI literacy in our circle. So if we start from us, then we can go pan India. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
I
sir.
think we can
And
conclude.
participants, if you have any further queries, you can reach to sir. Sir has posted his mail ID in the chat window. So we're coming to the end of the session 8. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Piyush Vairel for gracing today's session. That is 2 sessions on the same day. Really, sir, the session 7 on explainable AI and session 8 on EU AI Act was totally awesome. I think we have burdened you by making 2 sessions on the same day, but still you have
No, no, it is fine.
spared your time with us. And thank you so much for all the sincere efforts from your side. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.